What is up, Nerds and Desk? Welcome back to another episode of The Pull. I'm your host, AJ Kunze. This week on The Pull, I can't think of an intro. There's nothing in this cup. The Star Wars stuff that Marvel's been putting out has been goddamn wonderful. Not just because it's got a lot of really good talent telling a lot of really good stories, but because it feels like old Star Wars. Star Wars has a unique place in pop culture in that it is perhaps one of the biggest, most expansive influences there's ever been. And no franchise has ever been full of more unarguable greatness and more bloated garbage water than Star Wars. Outside of the first three movies and the Knights of the Old Republic games, it's been pretty goddamn bad. But this is what we wanted. This is the feel of these old movies brought to new life, and it is. Anyway, this new issue is great because we get more Boba Fett. Boba Fett's always been a character that has kind of confused me. He showed up and was vaguely awesome for like a very short amount of time, and then did something hilariously stupid and disappeared forever. So basically, he's the Mark Sanchez of Star Wars. This is the Boba Fett that never really existed, but the ones that fans have always projected him being. This badass human hunter, going across the galaxy, torturing people, extorting people, getting his man. And Jason Aaron has really captured all the voices. Han, Leia, Luke, they all talk like they did in the original movies. It feels so natural. If you're a Star Wars fan, quit your job, sell your family, burn your house down. There is nothing but these comic books. It's your new mission in life. Welcome to Marvel Secret Wars Battleworld. We got all the crazy bunker stuff for you. We got crappy 90s Iron Man. We got Private Eye Duck and Kung Fu Old Guy. Choo Choo Train Punisher. And two different Hispanic Spider-Men. Don't forget about Grandpa Manicure. And like 30 different Thors. And Potato Wonder Woman. What are you doing here? You're not even Marvel. Every Marvel event book usually has an anthology series that launches with it, where different writers come in and kind of tell small, singular stories that are supposed to be going on during whatever crazy bake sale event they're having in the Marvel Universe. And Battleworld is this particular anthology series. And for what's actually found in this book, there's two different stories, and they're both pretty great. There's a lot of great talent in this book, Joshua Williamson and Ed Bryson. The first story is basically about a magic Punisher, which is awesome, because magic Punisher is just below Robot Punisher and just ahead of Mer Punisher on the Punisher scale of coolness. And the second story is basically just like a MODOK fest, and it's pretty funny, even though the entire story is kind of just the regurgitation of the same joke. Hey, isn't MODOK weird? And it was the only book this week that made me chuckle out loud, so congratulations, you win the washer and dryer set for this week. This book, more than any other book that launched this week, just kind of shows why I am just so not into this Secret Wars thing, man. Listen, here's how I imagine the pitch for Secret Wars went. They all got together in one room on a whiteboard and they wrote down 100 different ideas for cool stories for the Marvel Universe. I have a great idea. What if we took all of these stories and told them at the same time? That really wouldn't make any sense. They don't really connect in any way, and that would be kind of messy and undisciplined narrative. Nah, man, listen, I got it. Beginning of every issue, we throw up some fucking weird-ass map with a bunch of different colors on it, and a limerick about how Dr. Doom is like God or President or Alderman or something, and that'll make it all connect. That is a incredibly half-baked and stupid idea that really doesn't demonstrate any planning on our part. And this is supposed to be like the penultimate chapter of this entire universe that's been going on for like multiple decades. So shouldn't we do something a little bit more focused and something with a much better like clear payoff? I would do the other guy's half, but by this part of the conversation, he's like just kind of drooling and playing with building blocks. That's my biggest problem with this is nothing in Secret Wars has been bad so far. Each story has been at least fairly entertaining, and in some cases, like the Punisher story in this book, really, really good. But none of it has context. And listen, I have 100 million independent comic books that I can read if I just want little self-contained awesome stories. But if I want to play in this universe that I've been enjoying my entire life, and I want to exist within that context, Secret Wars isn't doing that. It's making these weird little vignettes that are jarring and don't take into consideration any of the relationships or personalities of the characters. There's no rules or discipline. It's chaotic. Their marketing has done a better job of communicating story points to us than the story has, which is a failing on a narrative level. This is why comics have a hard time growing. They create these very small sections of people that get all the necessary information. Only people following comic book marketing would know what the fuck is going on in Secret War. No other form of storytelling does that because it's dumb. Hey, you remember that part of Lord of the Rings where J.R.R. Tolkien gave you that important plot twist in the form of a memo? Remember when you were watching that Tarantino movie and you had to go outside and read some skywriting to know what the fuck was going on? No, because that would be ass-tarded. DC and Marvel comic books need to stop wasting so much time pandering and using their characters as marketing pawns and focus on the narrative. Because if you tell good stories, people are going to want to consume them. And the more you focus on those stories, the easier they're going to be to jump onto. When you start playing all these weird gymnastics with the media, it just becomes a convoluted and stupid mess. So I know what you're thinking. You're like, AJ, I really love He-Man, but it is just way too heterosexual for me. I need something a little bit more flamboyant. Guess what? I got a comic book for you. Kapatara is a book about a homosexual astronaut who's on his way to be one of the first colonists on Mars. Now, while he's on his way to Mars, a wormhole opens up and he's transported to an alternate reality Mars where, yeah, it's pretty much Eternia, but gayer. And as weird and offensive as that could possibly end up being, it's actually an incredibly intelligent and touching book, though it is goofy as fuck. The crux of this book lies in its main character, Keith. I think it's Keith. Was it Keith? If it's not Keith, then I'm going to be just wrong about the character's name for the entire episode. The reason Keith left for Mars, knowing that he would never see Earth again, is because he doesn't think Earth has anything left for him. As a homosexual man, he is tired of being alienated and discarded and marginalized as a person for just being who he is. And so when he finds this world that is admittedly exaggeration of many homosexual stereotypes, which could potentially be in bad taste if it wasn't played in such a tongue-in-cheek way, the rulers of this planet basically offer him an out, offer him a choice to go home to help save his world, who is under siege by the Skeletor allegory for this particular world. Skeletor allegory, not something I've ever said. And he chooses to stay because he is done with Earth, because he feels discarded by Earth because of us, the way we have treated him for simply being loyal to how he feels inside. And you can understand that. As crazy and flamboyant and full of pug tanks as this book is, its premise is incredibly profound and kind of makes us as a human race look like a bunch of jackasses. We're getting way too serious and political on this show. I better swear quick. Shit. Cracked under pressure. Anyway, Kaptara is really funny, written by Chip Zdarsky, who is one of my favorite creators, partly because he makes my book crush, which is Sex Criminals. It's crazy and really funny. It has that God hates astronauts thing where every page is just full of completely crazy and insane imagery. The incredible, profound, and touching and insightful parts of the story are juxtaposed by the most crazy storm of random bullshit that you have ever seen in your entire life. Listen, Kapatara is not particularly good or graceful in a lot of ways, but it's really interesting and ambitious, and you gotta give it mad props for being brave and creative and having something very insightful to say. So I really encourage everyone to go ahead and buy this book and really pull apart all the really smart and interesting things that are buried in Technicolor bullshit. All right, now for the rest. Secret Identities number 4 is out. Secret Identities continues to be one of the best kept secrets in all our comic books. A really good sort of lighter-hearted Watchmen-esque tale of the dark side of superheroes. The Tithe followed up its great launch with a great second issue where it really expanded on some of the more interesting nuggets left in the first issue. If you're a super huge fan of the Ultimate Universe like I was, you were super excited to see what was going to happen in the Ultimate End number 1. Not much happened, except even more Thors showed up. There are so many Thors in the Secret Wars. You get a Thor, and you get a Thor, and you get a Thor. Zack Snyder continues to be the best dude out there with Wytches number 6. The story got real this month, guys. Make sure you're reading this. Drones number 2 is really boring. I am excited for the 3rd issue to come out, because once the 3rd issue comes out, then it meets my 3-issue rule and I can stop reading it. Avengers World is an incredibly disappointing finale to what turned out to be a pretty disappointing series. It started off so great as sort of an anthology looking at all these individual little Avengers, and just kind of ended up being another prelude to Secret Wars book. Oh, Killstrike is basically an entire book that's making fun of comic book hipsters and people who hate on 90s comic books. It's pretty funny. It's a little heavy-handed. It's definitely something that can confirm that it is in fact a comic book. A-Force, number 1, Lady Avengers. It has ladies and they avenge things. And Convergence actually kind of wasn't bad this week. I've actually kind of enjoyed the direction the last 2 issues have gone in, so maybe this thing will pull it out at the end. Planet Hulk number 1, basically Russell Crowe Captain America is fighting a bunch of Hulks to save Bucky. Nothing really to talk about as far as trades go this week. I mean, trades came out, but none that I really have any opinion on. Buy this one. And it is the end of this episode, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you check out the new episode of 2 Minutes of Comic Books that came out this week. And yes, before you notice, it is way longer than 2 minutes. I think I need to change the name of this segment. Maybe AJ's long-winded about nerdy shit. I want to address the fact that this happened. It's fucking cool and flattering. I'm still concerned that it's a glitch and that the super hive mind cat brain that runs YouTube is going to take those views back. But the fact that you guys seem to be sharing and growing the show is really cool, and I'm flattered and honored to have a video that did that. Even though that is nothing compared to, you know, big YouTube, but it doesn't have to be for it to mean something to me. And thank you again for watching yet another episode where I sit in my barracks room and just yell at you non-coherently about very stupid made-up things. Please, if you love these silly, funny books as much as I do, having conversations about them with someone who's equally as passionate is very exciting, so make sure you guys are commenting below. And as evidenced by the new episode of 2 Minutes in Comic Books, we got some fun stuff on the way. Make sure you are following me on Twitter and subscribing so that you know when that fun stuff is coming. For every new subscriber you get this week, I'll give you one code word that activates a sleeper agent hidden somewhere in the American Northwest. So that's all we have this week, and for some reason, my ears are very red. It's bad. Is there such thing as ear aids? Make sure you come back next Sunday and every Sunday to have time for the episode of The Pull. Now get out of here and go read comics.